Hey improvisers, did you know your scenes could become hilarious sketch comedy? Join Improv to Sketch, a live online workshop from the Sketch School on August 2nd and 3rd, where you'll learn the secrets behind turning your favorite one-time improvisations into scripted sketches. This online weekend workshop is fast, fun, and limited to just 8 participants. It always sells out, so snag your spot now at thesketchschool.com. That's thesketchschool.com. Welcome to Yes Also. I'm Suzi Barrett, and my guest today is my dear friend Ryan Archibald. Arch's improv resume is a head spinner. He trained at I.O. and The Annoyance. He worked at Boom Chicago and Amsterdam. He has performed and directed at the Second City. He was in Atlanta for a time at the Village Theater, and now he has found himself in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he teaches and directs and produces and performs at CMSimprov. One thing Arch lands on in here that I think is really interesting is his love of smallprov and approaching improv more with the sensibility of a band than a large class ensemble. And in part 2, we deep dive about the improv scene in Tulsa and what he's doing there and what it's like to be a part of a growing scene. I think you'll really enjoy it. For part 2, you'll go to yesalso.supercast.com and subscribe. It is worth the money, I promise. We have over double the content over there, including Q&A episodes. It's basically like getting very, very cheap masterclasses. And if you find yourself in Tulsa, Oklahoma, check out Arch's monthly variety show, Tulsa Jumbo, or 66 Kicks, which is the main company at CMSimprov. And in the meantime, head over to our Instagram page at YesAlsoPod and check out Arch's pictures. There are some great throwback shots in there, including some of his team People of Earth, which was one of the I.O. teams that inspired me when I was coming up in classes. But enough dilly-dallying, here's Ryan Archibald. Oh my goodness, Arch, welcome.
Thank you, Suzi. It's so cool to be here.
Yeah, it's so cool to see you. We were just chatting off pod that it's been, I think, like 6 or 7 years since I saw you in person, but it feels like just 3.5 years.
Yeah, just 3. Just a simple 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Boom 25 this the last time we saw each other.
Yeah, the 25-year Boom reunion. Did you go to the 30-year reunion?
No, I just missed it. I'd been there in the summertime to direct the show, and then like the celebration was like a few weeks after I left. But
they couldn't just have it early on your account. Like, what are they doing? What are they running over there?
I put in the special request. It didn't go through.
Yeah, they don't look in that creaky wooden suggestion box as much as you would think they should.
Yeah.
So we worked at Boom together. My first awareness of you was in Chicago. You were playing on People of Earth, a very established, awesome Herald team while I was coming up in classes. So you were one of the people I was looking to like see how all of this was done.
Nice.
Post Boom, you did Second City Vegas. You now are in Tulsa in that improv scene. Give me a quick intro to your, like, how improv arrived in your life, because I actually don't know that about you. Okay. We've never chatted about how you came into this art form that you've now dedicated your entire life to. So let's start there.
Okay. Well, I was an athlete growing up, and my mom wanted me to be well-rounded, so I did like choir and some musical stuff. And I played football in college and got hurt pretty badly, so I had to quit. And I was looking for something to keep me busy, and I had a roommate, come home with a flyer for an improv club. It's like, you're funny, you should do this. So I went and auditioned and like totally got bit by the bug. And I just, it like reminded me of like, oh yeah, I've already been in love with comedy. I grew up loving SNL and like the Ha channel before Comedy Central. And then Second City Northwest was just in like a suburb over from where I grew up in Barrington. And I'd been going to free sets there with friends for since the time I could drive. So improvising in that audition on the walk home, I was like, why haven't I done that before? That was amazing.
Right.
And literally I've been improvising since that moment.
It's such a movie. It's like the jock who gets injured, who decides to do this on a whim, and then is like, wait, this is my calling.
And like all the kind of jock processing too of like, oh, it's just like being on a team, and we have practice and we have objectives and goals. So like I had all that brain going for me when I first hit improv, and thought of it as a game and thought of it as like a sport. It took me
Something
a
to
few
be
years.
won, something to conquer.
Totally. It took me a few years to realize that I wasn't trying to win improv.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually think that's pretty relatable content, even to people who didn't grow up as athletes. I feel like it's a common experience for students or anyone who's like on the arc of like learning and getting better to be like, why haven't I gotten it yet? Or like, I've got to like climb and I've got to conquer it. And it's so much more nebulous and here and now process oriented than that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. There's a competition aspect to it that you feel in classes, I think, when you first start taking classes. You recognize like that person's good, or that person clearly has training, or that person's super funny and doesn't know it. But and that level of competition, I think, is good to drive you, but you can't force that type of development on yourself, or like force yourself to try and get better like you can in sports, where it's like, I'm just going to hit the gym and I'm going to train a bunch and you'll see results. I think in comedy, it's more like you got to grow into it a little bit. You got to find your people, and then next thing you know, it starts to click, sometimes in classes, sometimes like well beyond.
Find your people is a great, that's a great flag to plant in this, that I think not enough people also like put in as part of this process. Like there is a night and day difference between playing with and for people who don't get you versus ones who do, or people who you feel a good like simpatico vibe with versus ones you don't like that. When did that happen for you? When did you find your people?
I was fortunate. I found people early. I had People of Earth. I got to have this great ensemble. It's basically the folks that I went through classes with at IO and Annoyance with.
Oh, wow.
So that first year together, because they threw us on a team at IO in level 2. So right after level 1, Sharna's like, get these guys on a team. And so that was a really great experience, great opportunity, very rare thing to happen. And so we had a rehearsal with Peter Gwynn, a class with someone at IO, and a class with someone at Annoyance every week for a year. And then that started getting monthly shows, and that turned into weekly shows. So as a core, we just had great training. And then People of Earth kind of turned into 3033, which is some folks from People of Earth plus Rush Howl. And that again was another like, these are definitely my people. And that was a great thing when I came back from Boom to kind of land back into this familiar group, and everyone was grown up and everyone was like killing it. It was really fun to jump into a group that was like one of the best things happening in Chicago. I just got to ease into it, which was a blessing.
Yeah.
And then the next time I found my people was like with the boys and playing with Messing and Rachel Mason and Norm Hawley and Craig Bueller and Rush Howell. Like we had a real long run at Second City together doing long form, and that really felt like we were all teachers, we were all directors, we all had a lot of passion for the conservatory. So and we saw our show as a part of conservatory. So that also is just like all of those groups are my friends, and and even though I don't like see everyone or talk to everyone so much anymore, it's like just like this, you can connect with someone. It's like you just saw them yesterday.
Yeah, totally. I didn't realize that you also trained at Annoyance. That's cool.
Yeah. I had IO and Annoyance training back to back, and I thought that was a pretty good way to do it. We all did it together, so it was just like it was kind of a neat thing that we all were able to do it too.
Yeah, building that ensemble and that sort of, like you called it, the core, but learning together and having all that stage time together and all those reps and just learning how each other's minds work.
Yeah, and then all the like beers and bowls and late night dinners and going to the movies, and like we're
beers,
constantly
bowls, bitches, and bear.
Bears, bulls. Yeah. I mean, so we were just living young life in Chicago, having a great time. So it was just a lot of bonding.
Yeah. Those were the days, huh? A lot of 4 a.m. burritos and waking up with salsa on our faces.
Is it blood? It's salsa.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Wait, it is blood, but it tastes like salsa. We're still good. Do you remember, like during those training years, or you didn't train at Second City, you did IO and Annoyance. Do you remember anything that kind of made it click for you, or was it just the long, slow process? Any takeaways? We don't have to spend too much time here, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was a real gym rat about it. So like if like Kevin North was running a workshop, I'd go jump on that. Or if like Bob Bass was doing something, I'd go jump on that. Or, Messing was doing a weekend of things. So I was really aggressive about trying to unlock it for myself. And I think the first big lesson was like, I'm not trying to win. The next big lesson was, oh, my creative joy is making someone else's idea work. And that helped pivot my view from like, I gotta be the lead singer to maybe I'm more of like a bass player or a drummer in this band, that I can drive things, but I'm here to kind of help lift, and certainly long form wise that helped a lot, and I became a lot happier and had a lot more opportunity to play with people. And then the big switch from like large ensemble to small ensemble was probably the biggest thing for me, because I just like, not teaching for IO anymore helped me unplug some things like, oh, long form shouldn't be done with a lot of people. It's only done with a lot of people. It's like job security for all these people that are teaching it. And like, realizing that IO curriculum is intentionally confusing, as like, so, people would have to go back and keep going back to figure it out through experience. And then one of those things was like, oh yeah, if we don't perform with 14 people or 10 people, but maybe 2, 3, or 4, it's so much easier to get everyone in the same room, get everyone on the same page, find a lot of commonality on and off stage, and work just gets easier and better. And then it just like dawned on me of like, oh, well, that's what bands do. Like when there's no institution like UCB or IO being like, come and build your band here at this training center. They just kind of do it independently, and they have success by doing it with 2, 3, 4, 5 people, because like that's the number of people that fit in the garage.
Right.
It's just easy to get.
Unless you're P-Funk and your parents can afford a 22-person garage, and you have 4 sax players and 6 people on drums.
All those rich parents up in Canada and those Arcade Fire, 18-piece bands.
Great. So one of you just wears a bike helmet and the other one drums on it.
But we are kind of explaining late 90s comedy in Chicago, these giant groups and stuff,
Totally.
And there'd be people on those teams that were really like, oh, she's a trivia specialist. She just walks in and like justifies what's going on with facts and walks out. Like that was literally their role-playing roles and improv that don't exist anymore.
Totally. Yeah. I was digging through my my box of keepsakes recently for this podcast and pulled out my first IO Herald schedule. And some of those team lists are 10 people long, 11 people long. And but even what you're describing is like the ensemble of a classroom. You're going through classes with 14 or 16 people at a time, and it's just a lot to juggle. And it can really codify things more and simplify things when you boil it down to 4 people or 2 prov or whatever, and you're just listening and getting in there with a small group. Yeah.
And if you're trying to build a sustainable product or training center, it makes sense to build towards a product that has 8 or 9 people on stage at a time, and that justifies having 16 people in the classroom. And then you can, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like modern improv is just way smaller and much more interesting and accessible to the artist if you just keep it small.
Yeah, fully. I've seen you on the roster for like guest workshops at like maybe at festivals or on websites or something. And something you teach is the art of smallprov.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump around. We'll return to your timeline,
cool.
Big insights there, or tips or takeaways.
Totally.
What's your approach?
Well, I think the big approach is having people on stage that you trust. I think it's a big thing to make it kind of work. But yeah, I think what makes smallprov interesting is, especially the way you either can have a form or not have a form. One of the groups I play with right now is the Swamp. It's Jimmy Carlson and Kate Duffy and I, and we don't have any form. We just kind of, sometimes it's a mono scene, sometimes it's a anchor scene, sometimes it's just like we followed one character all the way through. That's the joy of it, playing with people who have as much experience as me, as much passion as I do, that we all have different takes on it. We meld really well together. For me, the way I teach it is to make sure that students understand whether they're in a scene or in a game. And sometimes you might be in both, but it's good to have a real clear understanding of like, okay, this is a scene. This is fourth wall up, emotionally driven, behavior driven, point of view driven. And then, this is more like a group game. And even though there's 2 or 3 people on stage, it still can function like a big 9-person group game because it's presentational, fourth wall can be down. There's a sense that the players know that they're in a comedy show or in a comedy game, so that like acting integrity can be lessened. And then it's just toggling back and forth between those 2 disciplines, knowing that this needs scenic energy, this needs emotion and human behavior, and this is spectacle, this is fun, this is world building, and so like it's just bouncing forth in between those 2 dynamics and finding different avenues to pursue those dynamics.
Game at this point has been used by so many different schools of thought in so many different ways that it's become kind of like diluted. Totally. But I like your definition of talking about something being more group game energy, presentational, a place for more absurd comedic heightening or more genre-based stuff that's like your game shows, your whatevers, and scenic, committed, fourth wall up energy. Yeah.
And I think part of that path of like going from IO to Boom to Second City to IO, like Boom is so game driven, so presentational. You spend so much of our time, our shoulders square to the audience, talking directly to them. Even if we're playing characters, it's still kind of big presentational characters. We can still get away with turning our shoulders and talking directly to each other a little bit, but not that much. It's more like we gotta earn their attention by talking directly to them. But coming home and applying that to smaller theaters worked for me. Like that, and teaching that to other people really worked for the ensembles I was working with, because whether it's Herald, which I don't really teach anymore, but like any type of long form or even short form, there is room for both talking directly to your audience and hosting or being a character that's aware that they're in a comedy show, and putting fourth wall up and talking directly to your scene partner, because cabaret theater is designed to do that anyways. Cabaret theater is here we're talking to you. It's a big musical act. It's big rope routine, and everyone's like, oh wow, and then it's like a dramatic monologue, and the audience kind of leads in. And you just kind of get pushed and pulled back and forth as an audience. And that just kind of clicked for me coming home from Boom, like literally spending all that time in cabaret theater and in a big version of it. And then coming back to little theaters and realizing like, oh no, all these skills that I learned up there work great inside this space.
Right. Now you have more dials on your soundboard to play with.
Totally.
You can dial up the presentational energy or down, and now your shows are more dynamic because you have levels to play.
Totally.
And the superpower of knowing how to hold an audience's attention, because Trial by Fire, we were having to hold the attention of 300 drunk Australian bachelors or whatever at a time at Boom. And I remember coming home from Boom and being like, I feel like I could host the Oscars right now.
Totally.
Like, I bet
you could
right now that, truly. I was like, I think right now I am, my knife is sharp enough to handle any audience at any size with any, any demands.
Like a machine, just like able to, unflinching. Yeah, for sure.
What a skill. It is, and I feel it like it hasn't gone away, but that level of my balls aren't as big as they were when I first arrived back, because I wasn't as in practice with that. But it is a bit of a weapon in an arsenal to be like, you know what, like I can host, I can stand my ground, I can handle a heckler, I can and be charming and help my cast be liked and keep their power and all of that stuff that doesn't show up as much or at all in regular just training, Let's talk about Boom. What brought you there, and talk about your experience there.
I wanted to be a part of Boom so badly. I'd sit at my, my office job and get on their website and look at all the pictures from the night before and just like torture myself with how much fun everyone was having. But it was just, it was a goal, it was an incentive. I really wanted to do that job. It felt like a good fit for me. Just the people who already worked there were people that I looked up to and just loved. And then the owners, just Pep and Andrew, every time they were in town, they came across as just, I don't know, fucking cool. I was like, those guys are cool.
Those dudes are wearing shiny pants. What the fuck? They own an improv theater and they're in red shiny pants.
Yeah, red shiny pants. But just that polish and the confidence, and it was so different than like Chicago's too cool for school attitude of like, you didn't want to act like you won anything, or, you didn't dress up for anything. So it was, I pursued it, and I got auditioned 3 years in a row. And even one year I got on like their wait list, and I was like, oh, I'm getting closer. And the year I got hired, they actually hired Matt Craig, and he used it wisely as leverage to get the ETC job. So he got hired to Second City, and so they came and turned to me and said, well, Matt's going to work at Second City, so you're next on our list. Would you like to come? And before they even answered, I was like, yes, I'll take that job.
Yeah, right. I already bought my plane ticket.
So like I had 2 tours of duty at Boom. The first, I felt very like part of my childhood, almost like a part of my college, a part of my growing up. And the second felt much more like career, like an adult. And I think my times there and what I learned and my experiences there reflect like those types of attitudes. Because when we were there, that it was such a perfect sized cast, and they had just left a period of greatness of Brendan and Jordan and Asher and Nicole just like crushing it, and they had
Josh
very high
Myers,
expectations. Just like Josh Myers, like very high expectations of what a Boom show should be. And they just hired a bunch of killers with you and Jen and Heather and Sniffin. So I came in with Amber Ruffin and Tarek Davis, and we just like all, I think, clicked right away socially and on stage. And, of course it's like we're the rookies and the new kids, and you guys were like finally getting your chance to like be the major players after waiting for that next generation to pass. But so maybe 3 months of like, oh man, I'm here and I'm not that good at the job yet, and I want to be great at it. And oh man, now I'm in some place I can't even pronounce, but I got to say it like 15 times in this show. Like all those like panic things, like learning scripts with Robbie on a train and him working on my Dutch pronunciation, and like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then going, you have to. It's the job. It's like, okay, dude.
So
Okay.
true.
Okay,
It is the
okay.
most I'm going to pop your water wings and chuck you
Yeah.
into the deep end job
Yeah.
I've ever
Yeah.
had. And it's like,
Yeah.
you don't have a choice. You got to
No.
fucking swim. And you got to,
Yeah.
not only that, you got to do tricks while you swim. And you're going to, because
Yeah.
that's what we're all doing. Yeah.
Like my second show was on the road, and I was put in the boy band like at the venue, and they're like, you're just playing Donovan. It's not a problem. But like, I still had to learn all the choreography, like the 3-person version of it, and like land my lines. And at one point I like super messed up, and Woods was just like looking at me and being like, oh man, I was just there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just the guy who couldn't remember Donovan, But
Right.
It was good because I literally had been in Chicago and shooting lasers out of my eyes on stage, and very humbling to like be terrible again immediately and have to learn those skills.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean all my awesome characters don't work in Holland's? Because there's no reference point to who these people are.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And if I do make a reference, nobody gives a shit because they just want a scene about Britney Spears or Michael Jackson or George
Yeah.
W. Bush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Humbling in many ways. Yeah.
But then we wrote 3 shows. We did a new best of, then we did 2 shows. So we were just constantly working and constantly having great times, and that boom cycle of like, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, which they don't do anymore, but that's what we were doing. 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, writing, working, cranking, bringing a new show up, and then opening up and having like a big opening night party and a big opening week. Like we had like MTV show up to one of those openings and like
Yeah.
cover it. It was such a cool thing for us, because just a few months ago, it's like slinging daiquiris upstairs at the Del Close Theater. So it's just nice to be on the other, like get what you want, like get a version of what you want when you get to a job like that.
And for me, a big part of it was like taking all like half of my bandwidth away from worrying about if I was going to make rent and blah, blah, blah. It's like, or like needing a job or blah, blah, blah. Like all of the job bandwidth was taken care of because this was the job. And this was the first and only time it's like, oh, I don't also have to wait tables or also have to interview at temp places or whatever.
Yeah. So you can have a real life, make real friends, pursue other things. Yeah. We'd get a 2-week schedule. You'd know, like, this is what I'm doing for the next 2 weeks. Like, just to have that was a huge thing.
And it's all comedy. What I'm doing for the next 2 weeks is all comedy.
Just all comedy.
Yeah.
You remember at that opening night when we were raising money for an AIDS foundation and Andrew wanted to give out the great big check? And everyone's like partying, like 2 hours into the party, 2 hours into the party, and he makes the DJ stop. And he brings an MTV cameras over, and everyone's still dancing and like won't stop. And he goes, hold him this big check. It says AIDS Foundation. He goes, you'll all get AIDS if you don't shut up right now. And we're like, what?
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Shut up. Attention, please. Attention. Listen, if you don't be quiet now, you're all going to get AIDS. Record scratch. Huh? Anyway, we'd like to present this check. So fucking funny. I totally forgot about that. Man, one of my favorite boom memories involves you. It was not at a show. It was at a music festival called Lowlands. And, just like a drug-addled weekend. And I think we had all been like eating mushrooms or something. And our little cohort broke apart as like people went to use the bathroom or whatever. And we kind of lost track of you for like an hour. And then my phone rang and I was like, oh, it's Arch. And I went, hello. And you went, Suzi, where am I? It's like, I don't know, buddy. Do you want to describe what you see around you and we'll try to find you? It's just the best. It's like, we want to know where you are, but you have to help us out.
There's people here. I think I'm at a music festival.
Yeah. Your description was like, I'm sitting on a picnic table. I was like, great. Could you be more specific? Yeah.
There's a bunch of Dutch people around.
Oh, yeah. Great. That one. Okay. Yeah, just
That was a
great
great
times.
weekend, that Lowlands weekend, because we performed on Thursday night and then we camped for 2 nights afterwards. I was like, what a
Just
cool experience.
incredible. Yeah, and such that was like a rare time at Boom where Boom was still kind of this rock star presence in the culture
Yep.
there. Now it's
Yep.
like a kind of a smaller footprint in terms of the Dutch culture, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
we were
mean,
like
I think Boom has grown into something that's very different than what it was when we were there, but it's a pretty remarkable thing that they're doing. I mean, Stacy Smith's done an incredible job growing that academy and growing a community inside that building of people who aren't the main cast. And that's like such a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to be more of like the Dutch theater scene, and
Right.
they're part of it, you know, and they're leading much more like a true like Dutch product rather than a Dutch American product, you know, which is cool. You know? I think they're on their way to that. So.
It is more of like what Second City is for Chicago, where it's like local humor and satire that isn't just jokes about the trams or how do we count this money or whatever. While we're on the Boom chapter, I gotta ask favorite nightmare corporate stories or like any horror show. You know, I love a bad corporate story.
I mean, the one everyone talks about is Met, but I didn't get to do it because the clothes didn't fit me. So everyone had to perform as mannequins in a storefront, and I didn't have to do that. But I kind of had FOMO, like, oh, I wish they would have put me in too small clothes to do it. I think my brain only remembers like the good parts of Boom, like the fear of Boom. I kind of like push out a little bit. I know like maybe that first one I already explained of like trying to learn boy bands at this in the basement of what felt like a castle to me, and knowing I was going to have to perform it in like 15 minutes. That was about as terrified as I'd ever been. I think, you know, most of my favorite Boom corporate memories are like us doing things we shouldn't have been doing, like sneaking into parties or like
you were on that show where it was like me, you, and Greg, and we like were trying to get into a rave on a college campus or on the outskirts of it, and all the doors were locked, but this giant party was happening inside, and we're like pounding, and no one heard it, and Greg like broke a window, he got someone from the inside to break the window,
open the window, push it out. And we crawled into the basement, and then we went into the party, and it was wild. It was like and they had just seen us perform too. So we had just performed at that party, and then they told us to leave. We were actually told to not go back in. And we're like, yeah, fine.
Yeah, got it.
How are we not going to go back in?
To this, wild.
It was in one of those atrium dorms that had its open, empty. And it was like 4 levels, a balcony looking over. So it's just like 4 levels of party and DJs on both sides. And,
like each floor was like a different color of lights. And it was so very like set designed by a Hollywood director. Like if you made your exaggeration of what a Dutch college rave would look like in 2004, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally with like a guy with a little briefcase walking around, and you'd be like, oh, that's the guy you get your drugs from. And he just like wanders over and pops open the briefcase. You're like, wow.
Do you want powder or lollipops? It's like, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Like,
okay, I'll roll the pop in the powder for you. Okay, thanks.
This is a gum that has Molly in it that's rolled in cannabis and some hashish. I don't think I should.
I don't care.
Yeah. Oh man, those were.
More, please.
Yes, more, please.
Oh yeah.
And then your second time at Boom was more. You said it was more adult time, more focused on the shows, the learning.
Well, because I had done a whole tour at Second City, so I had done Second City Turco, and I had done Second City Las Vegas, and I got some heat on me in Las Vegas, and was like, oh, I'm in contact with SNL, and I'm in contact with a couple different jobs, and I, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to use Boom as to like help me get to the next place. Like that was my mindset, and just because I'd knew Pep and Andrew better, and you know, Amber was going back, and Hans Holson just got hired, and Matt Jones was already there, and Andiel was still there. There's like incredible people at Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you know, that sounds a little interested in me. I'm talking directly with them. I think maybe I'll go work at Boom for a little bit, and with the mindset of like, I'm going to just get to work and get that job. When in hindsight, I probably moved to New York. It would have been a way better idea.
I know. I was like, move to a different time zone, have a phone that's hard to call.
Be in a place where they never brought anyone over to audition for a screen test ever. Yeah, bad choice. But in my head at 28, I'm like, oh, it would be really cool to like get that job from Boom. You know, like that was just kind of my mindset. And I believed I could. I really thought I could. You know, I thought that it was a good place to. And the other thing that Boom was doing at the time is they had a TV show on Comedy Central, so there was TV time and writing room time and like actual experience doing things like that in Amsterdam. So that was another part of it being more grown up. Is I was working way more, going back and forth to this TV studio and doing, doing jobs like that, which were really exciting. So, yeah.
Well, and in defense of that 28-year-old who was like, the way to get to SNL is to move far away and be hard to reach. In defense of that guy, one thing that Boom is a great playground for if you want to do it is honing original characters. And,
for sure.
you know, like I could see that being like the sandbox where you're like, I'm going to get all my sandcastles really fucking sturdy here. I'm going to have 8 characters and 16 impressions, and because you're doing stuff like that there. And gathered so much of that, like just grew artistically in that year. And when I came back to the States, was just in a totally another gear, and it was fun. I got right back involved at Second City and did a whole bunch of stuff for them for a bunch of years, and ended up directing for them, like transitioning from an actor to a director. It ended up being like a 10-year run of consistent work that I loved, working with people that I really enjoyed, working with producers that I adored, and getting to cast people and train people, and a lot of the type of stuff I do now, but I was doing it at this place that had like brought me up. So I felt like, there was a moment where I thought maybe I'm going to work at Second City for the rest of my life, just for the way it was kind of, there's some lifers there. I had some people that I could look at and go, okay, that person has been here for 30 years. Maybe that's what I'm going to end up doing. So I was very into the lore and the mystique and like building into, making sure that my experience there and the people in that I was responsible for were having like a good, authentic experience there, because you want it to be a cool place. You don't want your time at Second City to be not worth it. Right.
It can be.
Right. And part of that comes from you, like creating a culture with the cast that you're working with, of reminding them of what a cool thing you have. Right. And keeping that, I don't know, the gratitude or the I don't want to say reverence, but is that part of it?
There's got to be a reason to do it. I mean, especially at the time, like, Second City is something that people chase, and I think some of the smartest people realize early, like, oh, it's going to take me too long to get what I want there, and go someplace else. But also there are people who are at Second City for a long time, and that's like, and I think I was one of them for a long time, that just loved walking in the building and loved taking the train into work, and like loved watching an audience exit a show that just had an incredible time. Like those things, I'm like, okay, this is making life really good. I feel how enjoyable this is, and so I wasn't in any hurry. I've had a lot of my students now ask, like, why didn't you go to LA, or why didn't you go to New York? And the answer is like, well, I always had work. I always had teaching jobs and directing jobs and another gig lined up. So I never got to the point of like, well, fuck, what am I doing? All right, I gotta fucking go shake the tree someplace else and figure it out. I had built really nice relationships in that building. So, and had a love for literally the brick and mortar of the place.
Yeah.
So, and again, like Second City needs people like me to exploit, just like any institution like that. That's just like they need the guy that shows up on Thursday and just brings coffee to or Friday night brings coffee to the cast because he's been doing it for 50 years. So that's just kind of this weird thing he does. And they still kind of do those things.
Talk to me. So you were directing main stage reviews at Second City at that time? Mm-hmm. No. What were you directing?
Just tour co and stuff like an up theater and like a lot of touring shows and like theatrical shows. But never got to do the main stage before they were sold. So I was hoping to do that. I'd still do it, even though they're brand new people and I don't really have a relationship with the building anymore.
Yeah.
Did it. Jump into it.
I mean, maybe they're listening right now. And you know what? SNL, if you're listening, he can get farther away and you can
I will
call
move
him
to China next time.
There we go.
I'll move to China. You can come and get me there.
Right. Where do you want me to go? Easter Island?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. What would you characterize how would you characterize your directing philosophy or approach?
Well, for improv, it's definitely have a repeatable process. A repeatable process gets you closer to being consistent. Being an improviser that expects results, that is, less accidental, less coincidental, and more intentional.
Let me double click on that. What do you mean a repeatable process? Like the same rehearsal process, or what do you mean?
I approach to a scene or a game. So like right now I first teach build your scene, play your scene, which is create a base reality for your scene, clear storytelling context, who you are, how you feel, where you are, what you're doing. If there's any genre or style in there that you're aware of, but really put that at the forefront of your scene and do that for yourself, do that for your scene partner, do that for your audience, because your audience is gathering information. And as soon as they have all the information, they'll relax and watch your scene. But if they don't have any of those major pieces of information, they'll still be trying to gather it. So they won't be as present. They'll be watching your scene from their mind's eye, the way we kind of want them to. And so that's, really for the last 12 years, I've been teaching build your scene, play your scene, and most of my basic mechanics work off of that. And it goes into game, it goes into show. And if you set expectations, set a clear framework, unite everyone in the room with what's going on, then you really are going to have the most success as an improviser. So that's kind of what my approach is in the classroom, and what my approach is if I'm working with a new ensemble, is to just get everyone on the same page of like, we're gonna master this process first, this build your scene, play your scene first, and then we'll look at other processes that we can have success with.
Yeah. Is the play your scene half of that equation sort of like what we would describe as like the game of the scene? Like once you land on what the funny is about this, or what the fun shiny object is, kind of orbit around that.
Yeah. So anytime you walk on stage, you have limitless opportunities. You put a clear framework of the scene is in this box, but where you play it, there's still room for exploration. There's still room for discovery. And you are capitalizing on any like hook or game or character behavior, quirk, or whatever that's been established. But yeah, like you're in a place of play now. Once you've created your basically, stand in the sandbox, then you can play in the sandbox. Once you assembled all of the Legos, then you can kind of build what you're building. So it's very much an artistic process. It's an engineering process. It's a little bit of a scientific thing of like, you collect your data, present it, and then that's what you're going to play.
Yeah. Use your left brain to get the kind of structure down, and now let your right brain get in there and go nuts.
Exactly. And then because your audience is doing the same thing. They're gathering information from their left side. And once they have it, then they'll start to share that information on both sides of their brain. And then, because we want that, we want them to be in that place of focus that they are when they read or listen to podcasts, where they are kind of not really watching us with their eyes, but watching us in their mind. And if we can get as many people in the room doing that, then we're going to have a greater chance of success, and like a lot of success, if we keep making that connection, keep uniting with them over and over again.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the fun thing about this process, or a good thing about this process, is the person you're playing with doesn't even need to know it. Is you can still build your scene line by line by whatever information they're giving. You can be playing with someone who's very like, I want to discover and be free and improvise around them. You can still play with someone who has no idea what they're doing, pull an audience member up on stage, and still build a clear scene around them that they will understand and feel comfortable with it. So it's not even a technique that needs to be shared with anyone else on stage. It's like a good audition jam survival technique too. So that's kind of, how I've taught it a little bit too. Just like, this is how you keep your head afloat sometimes.
Can we try it right now? Like, I'll be like a shit show player, like maybe someone that you just pulled up from the audience, and you build something around me while I am someone who just does not know how to improvise and is maybe saying wild card stuff. Can we see how this works? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I would do to start that is I would probably start doing something physical downstage that you could see. Hopefully giving you, like, tricking you into like commenting on what I'm doing, or at least using what I'm doing.
Okay.
That would be the first move that I would do. So let's say like I'm like painting on an easel when I'm looking at you. I'm painting on an easel.
Oh, what are you doing? Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm capturing your essence, David. It's your birthday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm old. Yeah. Is that an old joke?
Oh, you're just 57. It's just going to look great hanging up over your big CEO desk.
CEO desk?
Yes.
CEO desk.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what that makes me think of.
Oh, well, it probably makes you think that you're the boss and you're the leader of great men.
Oh, yeah. Who's your daddy?
Well, that's right. Your daddy didn't leave you the company, so you're right about that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. I was trying my hardest to be just like a someone that I have seen before who gets up drunk at a jam or something and is just like flailing. But yeah, you never lose your cool. You keep giving info. You keep sewing it together and defining for me what this is. And if I was not a shit show, I would grab some of those lifelines and use them. Yeah.
I mean, just throwing a birthday at you might just give that person the ability to remember of like, oh, I've been to a birthday before. I can just do birthday stuff and like and ask for a present or want to cut cake, and then they made a choice based off of So it might not be the best improv. It might be very stilted or whatever, but at least it's moving the scene forward and trying to incorporate two brains of ideas to push the scene forward.
Yeah. And what you just did against my shit show was good improv. Like, people hear like this concept of like, you can, if you're experienced, you can make anyone look good, or you can play with anyone at any level, but they don't really know how, or they get they get flustered in the moment because they're like, but that person wasn't listening to me. But it's like, but you can still keep playing the reality that you are setting up. You don't need them to necessarily hear and listen and use everything you're saying. What you just did proves that point, you know? Ben Schwartz on this show talked about like when he was in class, Ian Roberts like brought like a cantaloupe or something up and like did a scene with a melon or would do scenes with inanimate objects, and they were great scenes, just to prove like you can improvise with anything, you know.
Oh my God. I would love to sit in that class.
Totally.
Can you imagine?
I can't.
No wonder, like, to me, that's such a punk idea to do as a teacher, to get up with a piece of fruit and do a scene. And I'm sure it was killer. I'm sure Ian was like super passionate and emotional and like hilarious.
Right.
I could, just like, what a cool thing.
Yeah.
Cool thing.
Do you ever do shows like that where you play with audience members or?
I haven't. No. I mean, I run a jam here in Tulsa, but I'm mostly playing with students and stuff, and don't really feel like I have any shit shows that I'm like totally taken care of.
Yeah.
Fortunately, and but yeah, no. I mean, I haven't quite done that yet. But I'm in Atlanta for a while. I ran a show called Meet and Three, where I'd have 3 guests that I didn't. Initially started where I didn't know very well. I was trying to get to know people in Atlanta.
That's cool.
So that was a really cool experience to have 3 guests that I didn't know. We wouldn't rehearse, and once a month I'd do the show, and it was super, super fun.
Different 3 people every time.
Yeah, different 3 people every time. Sometimes it would be an existing group. Sometimes it'd be 3 people that didn't know each other at all. And it was a blast. And we did a weird ass format, which is the documentary style interviews, and then just kind of Armando style in between. And got to use this technique, this process, and to have success in that show all the time. Just because I'm coming out with people who had no context to how they play. Maybe I've seen them in a show here or there, but don't know how they're going to come in and play in this long form. And having to build shows, having to build seats, having to do some caretaking things sometimes, because I felt responsible. They were my guests. It's my show. We had a paying audience, and we wanted it to be good. And then there were plenty of nights when it was like just gangbusters, because it was just the right combination of people just got laughs. Atlanta's got a good scene. Yeah.
Totally. Atlanta and Savannah. Like a lot happening down in Georgia. Let's go there. Draw a line for me from your in your timeline to Atlanta and then to Tulsa. And I'm dying to talk about the Tulsa scene too.
Yeah.
For part 2 of this episode, go to yesalso.supercast.com. If you like this podcast and you want double the content, head over to yesalso.supercast.com and subscribe. You can also help us out for free by subscribing to us on YouTube and talking us up to your improv communities. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer in one of our Q&A episodes, or a topic that you think would make a great bonus episode, put it in a 5-star review. If you're a theater who would like to host us for a live recording and improv show, let us know at yesalsopod@gmail.com. A very special thanks to our producer, Ryan Rosenberg, audio and video editor, Brian Kessler, and Britt Faye, who does our marketing. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. No, we won't, Suzi. That's not how podcasts work. They won't even see us. They will listen to us, so it's actually the opposite of both things you said. Thanks for listening, and you will listen to us next week. Maybe. We don't know.